So Dallas have just done it. They have just won game 1 against the Minnesota Timberwolves. They've taken home court, and a team that not a lot of people have favored have obviously gone and done it. There is one issue. If you know anything about Luka Doncic, if you believe in like any superstitions and trends, Luka Doncic has never won a playoff series after winning the first game. He's only won the first game once in a playoff series. He's never won. And it was against the Clippers in 2001 where they went 2-0 up away from home. But this Dallas team, it is exactly what Luka has needed. And it's exactly what Dallas needed. It's constructed super, super well. As far as the Timberwolves go, the Timberwolves were shot a lot better than Dallas did. Which is one thing. Like Dallas shooting, I think it was like 24% from 3 or something on the game. And they only shot 42% from the field. And that's Minnesota. Dallas shot 24% from 3. Although Dallas did shoot much, much better from 2. And then from the free throw line, Dallas only missing 1. But down the stretch, it was a case of like Dallas, or very close. Dallas pulled away a little bit. Minnesota brought it back through Cat. And then Dallas ended up getting the win, mostly through Luka Doncic on both ends of the floor. Exceptional defense and exceptional offense. Honestly, though, Luka, not the greatest first half. He ended up with 33, 6, and 8, but like shot a not good percentage early in the game. Like that first half was Kyrie Irving's show. It was the Kyrie Irving show in the first half. And if not for Kyrie, they're out of that game. They're out of that game early, and that's why Kyrie's there. Kyrie Irving, who hadn't been showing up in first halves, ended up, I think it was like 24 or something in the first half. He was exceptional. Down the stretch, he's still playing good defense and just allowing, obviously, Luka to take over because Luka did, and if Kyrie needs to take over, Kyrie will. For the rest of them, like PJ Washington hit a massive, and I mean massive corner 3 for the lead late in the game. And then obviously Luka hit that step back on the ISO on Jaden McDaniels right after getting a steal on a lob. But when it comes to Minnesota, they need to change up something. Like, they cannot rely on Jaden McDaniels to give them... I know he hadn't had 20 points in a game for his career, twice in a row for his career, and he's had it 3 games in a row now in the playoffs. They cannot keep relying on Jaden McDaniels shooting like 6 of 9 from 3. They just... As well as Jaden McDaniels is playing, as good as Jaden McDaniels is, they cannot keep relying on that. They need more production from their other guys, like Cat with 16, Ant with 18. And the problem is, like, Ant had 18... Or say Ant had 19, but it was on a not very good percentage, 6 of 16. The problem is he was exhausted. He hit a couple of big threes down the stretch, but he was exhausted. He's chasing Kyrie Irving around. And that's the issue in basketball when one of your best offensive players has to be your best defensive player, especially when they're guarding a Kyrie Irving-esque player. They're going to get tired. They're simply put going to get tired, and that's just going to happen. It's not necessarily on Anthony Edwards. They're just going to have to find a way to scheme around that, because if Ant is focusing on defense and he's not giving offense, I don't know how much firepower Minnesota have. So Minnesota don't shoot like they do, like with their role players. Like again, Naz Reid, 3 of 6 from 3. If these guys aren't shooting 50% or thereabouts, they might struggle. They really might struggle, and they need Ant to give you more than 19. They need Cat to give you more than 16. And especially in the case of Ant, defensively, he's just giving so much that he is exhausted on the offensive end, especially late in that game. But overall, like, it was a game 1 where both teams can learn from it. Like, Dallas shoot better. It's a blowout. It's a blowout. And for anyone just automatically putting Minnesota into that NBA Finals, man, it's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee. Like, Luka still isn't right, but he doesn't look as slow. I know his knee bust open again. It looked like the few days rest helped him a little bit. He still doesn't look like he's at his best. But down the stretch, playing defense, while he's not really able to stay in front of anybody, his positional sense on defense is fine, and he's pushing it a little bit faster. But Dallas nearly blew it. Dallas nearly did in Indiana. Like, that inbounds pass to Derrick Jones Jr. was nuts. Like, the pass that they threw, they literally chucked it past the halfway line, and Mike Conley was this close to stealing the ball. That's crazy. And then there was obviously the huge call with Karl Anthony Towns' putback. It was the right call. A lot of people are like, oh, at that stage of the game, you have to call it. It's like, you can't let somebody goaltend just because it's late in the game. The ball was going to bounce down and hit the rim again. The way the ball was, there's like a still frame. People are like, oh, this wasn't hitting the rim. It's like, no, obviously angles work. Like, you can very clearly see it went up and it was going to go down and hit the rim. He caught it and dunked it. Unfortunately, it was going to hit the rim again. It was a basket interference. Like, they literally cleared it in about 2 seconds. They checked they checked the monitor in about 2 seconds. Regardless of what the picture looks like, it was the right call. People are like, oh, you can't call that late in the game. You can't let a team win on an illegal play. Just like even like the moving screen in the UConn and Iowa game. It was like, if there's a blatant play, regardless of, oh, you don't call that in that stage of the game, it's like, no, you can't let someone win by doing something illegal. Like, you just don't. Like, that's dumb. That is extremely dumb. Like, your job as a referee obviously is to ref the game, but like, especially in the crunch time, if anything, you most definitely don't let that go when it's going to decide the game. Like, someone shouldn't be able to decide the game on offensive interference, on what is textbook offensive interference. Like, in Europe, to be fair, you couldn't even do that in Europe because the ball wasn't even on the rim. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting series. I'm not counting out Minnesota right away. Like, we've seen what Minnesota are made of. They lost 3 in a row, and then immediately after losing 3 in a row, won by 45. And then they had the greatest comeback in Game 7. Like, these guys are tough. They're going to come out in Game 2 like this loss didn't happen. And Anthony Edwards is going to come out without question better than he did today. And that's, again, that is just the issue of being one of the first options on the defensive end. Because when you're one of the first options on the defensive end, it's tough. It is, without question, tough to play offense. The more tired you are, the harder it is. Especially when you are, obviously, if you're Ant, you have to get your legs under you when you're shooting. Like, he was just shooting, trying to shoot over people late in the game. He couldn't go by anybody. He was trying to use his athleticism, or he couldn't use it. He was trying to go by Luka, and he was just ISO, step back shot, because he just didn't have the ability to attack the basket on him. And another day, some more of those shots might go in, but Ant himself shot a decent enough percentage from 3. So, if you are the Timberwolves, it's not concerning that you're 1-0 down. Obviously, if you thought Timberwolves were going to whitewash the Dallas Mavericks, then you obviously don't know who Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving are. You obviously don't. If you think that those two guys in any playoff series against any team aren't giving them at least 2 games, then you don't know who those two guys are. In general, though, I'm still going to say more than likely the Timberwolves win. If you were to ask me who are my favorites to win this game or win this series, it still is the Timberwolves. But it's gotten a lot closer. It's not like a formality. It never was a formality, but the better Luka looks, the more likely Dallas are to win. And if Dallas is healthy, if Luka ends up getting healthy and a few more days off, or not even a few more days off, just a couple of days off, if the knee starts to feel better as the series goes on, unlikely, but maybe a few days off did a world of good for Luka, and I reckon he could be, if the knee's okay, this is a completely different ball game. But anyway, that is the video. Just a quick reaction to the game. Very, very close game. Very good game in general. But Minnesota could have been out of sight early in that game had Kyrie not just absolutely gone off. And then if you leave a team like Dallas close down the stretch with the likes of Luka, Kyrie, they've got guys that are there and they can absolutely destroy you. Anyway, that's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.